So let's say you have a project and you want to update your UI to automatically reflect the language of whatever locale your player is playing in. So like right now we have it in English, but what if we wanted it in German? Or what if we wanted it in Hebrew? And what if we want the UI to automatically update with the direction that words are read? Well, you can do all of this in Godot with localization. It handles a lot of it for you, like this automatic updating of the direction of text and changing all the UI. You can see even our developer console is changed. That all gets modified automatically. If we set this back to US English, it automatically gets updated. So if you want the language of all your UI to automatically update, you're just going to need to implement localization. And this is something that's best done at the start, just so that you can build all of your UI and any sort of strings in your game with this translation layer in it, so you don't have to go back and do all of that work later. So how do you add localization? You usually start with something looking like this. So this is a spreadsheet where we have a bunch of keys and then we have a bunch of translations. Godot isn't going to like if you just download this sheet as a CSV and spit it in. It's not really going to know what to do with it, but I cut it down. So we just have a column with our keys and then a column for each of our locale codes. So we have US English, French, Spanish, German, Italian, Portuguese, and so on. We have all of our keys in this first column and then our translations here. This is the format of a spreadsheet that Godot would actually accept. If you take this CSV file and we open this in the file manager, we can take this spreadsheet and we can actually just straight import that into our project. And then when we open Godot up the next time, it will automatically generate one of these translation files for each column that has a locale. And you can see that it's named the name of the CSV file, the locale code, translation. So then once you have all these translation files, you can just go to your project settings, go to this localization tab, and under the translations sub tab, click add. You can see all of the generated translation files, just open them all. And for each one of these, we now have a locale that we can use. By default, it is going to use English, or at least try to, if you don't have something that is directly just the EN locale. I mean, we have EN US. So it'll match that. And you can see that it automatically fills in these keys with their translations. So in order to set up UI, you just copy one of the keys from your spreadsheet. You put that into your UI. I have a label and a button with these keys in them. And then when you run the game, they're automatically going to get translated from those translation files, as long as you actually use one of the keys. Yeah, so if we go in here and we set this to something like German, then it'll automatically translate these to German. Another little cool thing you can do is actually just select a language and a country and it will build a locale string from that. What's also nice is if we set this to say Israeli Hebrew, this is a language that is read from right to left instead of left to right. You're not going to see it here, but it will automatically update the ordering of the UI. Really cool that it does that automatically and you don't have to write anything that does that. So far, we've only looked at UI strings. So these are sort of static strings. Like depending on the language, they're going to change, but the actual text itself is not going to change. If you wanted to have a more dynamic system, you would have to set this through script. So the way that you actually set text via script is pretty easy. I have this script on the label on the bottom of the scene. It's on this label. And we're going to set the label's text to this string, and we're going to insert what we get from this function. So this is the TranslationServer's translation function. It's just TR for translate. And then you give it a key as its argument. It will output the translated string of whatever this key is. And then we're going to just insert that into our string. This is a more dynamic way of inserting translations into our UI. Obviously, this is not translated, but if you need to dynamically get different things, you could just pass this in to the string. So like if you were updating a timer, you can have this say seconds and then just update the numbers, because those are probably going to stay the same. The only downside is that this string, what we're setting the label's text to, is not a key. So the translation server is not going to update it automatically. So we are going to need to update it ourselves. So I'm going to actually take this. We can put this in process. This is not a good practice. We're in English. If we set the language to Israeli Hebrew, you can see now it changes, because you do have to regenerate that string. I think a more efficient way of doing this would be to make this a one-time call function rather than using process, and then connecting this function to a signal, which gets emitted anytime the locale changes. That is pretty much how you would do localization, either in the UI directly or through scripting. If you don't want to deal with setting all of that up yourself, I actually have a package that which you can download. Just download the zip and then throw this folder, this localization package folder, into your add-ons. And then all you have to do, once it's imported, you'll get a location package. Just go into your project settings and then make sure that location package is checked on. It has an auto load, so you don't have to worry about adding all of the translations yourself. This also has some commands. If you don't want to use the commands because they are dependent on the dev console package, you just have to go into this localization manager and delete the localization commands node as well as the commands folder, just so that you don't get any errors. And you can see that yes, we have a set language and a shuffle language. Shuffle language is funny, and it's really just for testing because it will automatically change the language every some odd seconds. And you can see that it even flips the UI for languages that are read right to left. On this Trello board, you can see I have a couple of things that I want to add for version 1.2, which is really just an onLocale change signal and a script, which allows you to input a string and it will automatically update that translation when the signal is called. So that's an upcoming feature of the package, but not really necessary for this tutorial. Realistically, you just need to add these translations into your project settings and then make sure that your UI is using keys or that you're updating translated strings dynamically through a script, and you're all set. Anyways, I'll see you soon. Peace.